The Western Cape is preparing to deal with unprecedented weather conditions. Devastating rains and winds can lead to loss of life and damage to homes and infrastructure. The province's Disaster Management Centre has unveiled its winter preparedness strategy today. eNCA senior reporter Aisha Ismail is following that story and she joins us now live. Aisha, winter preparedness strategy, what does this entail?
Well, the Western Cape believes that it is ready and prepared for any eventuality. They've put plans in place for the winter season. Now, we know that during summer we often have fault fires, huge fires, runaway fires in the Western Cape. But of course, we need to prepare for the winter season where we have flooding and also fires, because in informal settlements, we know that during the winter season, people have open fires to keep themselves warm, but also to cook. But I am here at the Disaster Management Centre. As you can see at the back there, they have a huge wall where they are able to monitor traffic. They are able to monitor informal settlements. And this is where just about everything happens in terms of disasters. For instance, when we started with the COVID-19 pandemic, this is where it all happened, where it was coordinated from. But I'm now joined by Colin Dino, who's the Chief Director for Disaster Management in the province. Mr. Dino, how ready are we for the winter season?
Hi, I think we're as ready as we can be. What we do is we do a lot of assessments before the time. We look at what our most obvious disasters are going to be and issues that you spoke about, like, for example, flooding, fires in structures, etc. And we then look at where our risk areas are. We obviously try and do a lot of work to try and prevent it from happening in the first place. That's always first prize. But then what we will do is we then have our resources in place. Our emergency services, we work with them. We develop various plans based on the risks and make sure that our resources are put in place. There's obviously a budget allocated to making sure that our emergency services are ready to be able to deal with these incidents. And then what we do is we work a lot on early warnings. So early warning is always a force multiplier. It always allows your resources to be placed, preemptively if there's anything happening. So I think from an emergency services perspective, we put a lot of funding into our emergency services, and that really puts us in a position that we are able to respond when it's required.
So we were also fortunate to have sent some of our teams to KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes, so we have a system that we developed about 10 years ago, our provincial urban search and rescue system, where we train what we call rescue technicians. They are highly trained rescuers. They're trained in searching for people trapped in buildings, trapped in floods, etc., divers, and search experts. And what we did is City of Cape Town provided us with a number of them. And we also work together with the SASA, which are an organization of off-road and rough terrain specialists. So we put a team together with those components, and obviously the Provincial Disaster Centre. We were able to assist the South African Police Rescue Services in the search and rescue operation for about 6 days.
Now, Mr. Dino, we often, when we think about disasters, and especially in this context, we're talking about winter, we think about weather patterns. But what happens if there's a major blackout? We've seen a lot of load shedding happening. Is there a plan in place for a blackout?
Yeah, so I think we need to realize that, there's a whole spectrum of incidents or disasters that can happen which are related to electricity supply. And obviously it's important for us to identify them as part of our risk profile and then to plan for it. So we started working about 6 years ago on a blackout, provincial or national blackout, or what we call a major system constraint incident. And that would basically be identifying which areas are crucial. How do we support the operation to get the electricity back on as a province? All our provincial government departments, we worked with all of them to have a business continuity plan in place. And then obviously, things like fuel, making sure that we can keep our hospitals up, making sure that government can continue. So all that is taken into our plan. It's a very far-reaching plan. It focuses on challenges around transport that could happen. It focuses on challenges around safety, and so you bring that safety component in. So yes, we have this plan. We work on it. We modify it quite a lot. We bring people in, and obviously we work with Eskom as well in terms of making sure that we will be coordinating between each other if that had to happen.
Thank you so much for your time. But Masego, I just also want to bring in the MEC for local government to talk about flooding, particularly in informal settlements. Minister, you were telling me earlier that there's a big problem with people building houses just about anywhere and in areas that are not suitable for houses.
Yeah, that's one of our big risks, and we're very worried about that because it's vulnerable people who don't have all the resources to their disposal. So, and especially the one that keeps me awake is Drift Sands Nature Reserve. There's a retention dam on that, and if we get a downpour of something like 60 millimeters, there's a big risk that retention dam can go. And under that dam, there's over 2,000 informal settlements and shacks, and our call to the public is to work with us. So we've made land available in the Drift Sands Nature Reserve, and our call is that please, people must move voluntarily there by themselves as soon as possible, because if that dam wall goes, we will lose a lot of lives, and we cannot afford that. So a call to the public to work with us, please.
Minister, thank you so much for your time. And Masego, I don't even want to think what would happen when we get a heavy downpour and that dam wall collapses. And we're talking here about 2,000 shacks built in a nature reserve in Drift Sands.
We don't want to see the kind of scenes we saw in KZN, Aisha, but thank you very much for that report. Hopefully that plan that the city has works. Now,